Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first virtual town hall. I'm very pleased to be with you. I'm a little bit stressed. That's my first one, but I'm very happy. I want to discuss with you today the scandal of SNC-Lavalin. And after that, I will take your questions on that subject or other subject. And if you like it, we'll do that on a regular basis. So that being said, all that, Justin Trudeau and the Liberals said they wanted to have a special deal with SNC-Lavalin to save 9,000 jobs in Quebec. First of all, that's not true. There's not 9,000 jobs in Quebec. It's about 3,400 jobs in Quebec. And second, these jobs are not really at risk right now because SNC-Lavalin can also be able to have some contracts with the federal government on the infrastructure program. And as you know, there's a lot of money there. We just learned that this weekend. And at the end, the Liberals pretended to save 9,000 jobs. But the real reason was for them to save their job, and they wanted to be reelected in Quebec. That's important for the Liberals because they have right now 40 seats, and they want to gain more seats in Quebec to be able to stay in power, to stay in government. So why we are having that scandal? Because of the crony capitalism, cronyism in this country. The relationship between the Liberals and the elite politician with the business sector. They wanted to give a special deal to their friends, and as you may remember, some people working at SNC-Lavalin did give to the Liberals a couple of years ago, and they didn't respect the legislation. They didn't respect the law. That was illegal. So we know that the Liberals, they have a lot of friends at SNC-Lavalin, so they want to help their friends first, and also being able to have more votes in Quebec. I'm the only politician who didn't have any meeting with SNC-Lavalin. Andrew Scheer had a meeting with SNC-Lavalin. I don't know what was the discussion, what was the special deal that he offered them. I didn't have any meeting, and I won't have any meeting with big corporation because, as you know, our program is to end corporate welfare, to abolish all the subsidies to businesses, and we are saying that no business is above the law. So SNC-Lavalin must follow the law, and the prosecution must go on. So we don't know what Andrew Scheer wanted to do with SNC-Lavalin. When the journalist asked him the question, do you want to have a special deal with SNC-Lavalin? You can be sure that Andrew Scheer does not answer that question because also he's pandering to Quebec. He wants to have more votes in Quebec. I'm the only leader who said no special deal with SNC-Lavalin. So why we are having that scandal today? Cronyism, big fat government in Ottawa, subsidies to businesses. We must end that. We must end the corruption in Ottawa, and we'll do that by ending corporate welfare, by opening our doors to more competition in our country, by not giving any specific or special regulation or treatment or advantage to a corporation, by having a flat tax on corporation. So we're very different than the other political parties because we are a principal alternative. So for us, no corruption because we'll have a smaller government. We'll have a government that won't try to have a relationship with businesses. So that's important. That's a big difference. And I hope that the Trudeau government will call a public inquiry on that. We want to know a little bit more, but we know the real reason why we are having that scandal in Canada, cronyism. So if you have any question, I'm ready to answer, and let's start that discussion.
First question. Canadians on social media say that the notion of buying votes in Quebec works. What are your thoughts on this?
First of all, it's not my style of doing politics. We're doing politics differently. Yes, maybe it did work. It did work in the past, but I don't think it won't today because we are there and we are speaking to all Canadians, and people like what we are saying. no pandering to any special region in Quebec or outside Quebec. We have policies that are good for all regions in this country, like they are good for all Canadians. So, and I think that way to do politics, it is becoming more popular. I was in New Brunswick, and I said to people in New Brunswick, you know, we must cut the equalization formula. We must give you less money from the equalization because we want you to be a rich province. Like in Quebec, Quebec receive a lot of equalization money. I said that in English and in French. You know, we must cut the equalization payment and transforming the equalization formula for being fair for every province. So I'm saying that to Quebecers. I'm saying the equalization. I'm saying the same thing to people living in New Brunswick. And I want to have vote over there. And I think I will have vote over there because what we're doing, it's a smart populism. It's policies, politics based on smart policies. And I think people are ready for that. So I won't try to pander to any special interest group or any special region, but I will have policies that will be good for this country, that will give you more freedom and bring more prosperity in this country.
Is it the government's responsibility to create jobs?
No, it is not. It is not. It is the private sector. That's why we must lower taxes to businesses, entrepreneurs, but also to Canadians. We want you to have more of your own money in your pockets, and like that, you will create jobs and wealth in this country. The government does not create any jobs. The only job that the government will create is by having more civil servants. And as you know, we want to have less civil servants.
Why would the government care about Quebec jobs and not care about Alberta jobs?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, the government is doing that because they want to have votes in Quebec. They want to be back in power. They want to have more seats in Quebec. They cannot win a lot of seats in Alberta and Saskatchewan. You know, the Liberals, they don't have a lot of seats over there, and it's very hard for them to have more seats. So, you know, there's a lot of jobs in the oil and gas industry in Alberta, but they don't care about that because for them, they won't have a lot of seats over there, but they can have more seats in Quebec. So that's what they care. It's all about votes, and that's why it is a shame. It is a shame the way that they're doing politics, and it is the same thing for Andrew Scheer. He is not able to answer the question if he will give a special deal to SNC-Lavalin. He did not answer that question. I'm saying that in French, no special deal for SNC-Lavalin or any corporation. And, you know, I want to have votes in Quebec, and I think I'll be able to have votes in Quebec doing politics like that.
Given that the OECD is now monitoring Canada and the Lavalin scandal, how badly is this going to hurt us on the international stage?
Yeah, it is hurting us, you know, because we're a country with the rule of law. And now, you know, what's happening, the politicians are putting some pressure and to change the decision from the director of prosecution. So yeah, if that scandal, it is not so good for our reputation, and you know, I'm not so proud of that. That's why also we must know a little bit more, and I think it would be good to have a public inquiry on that.
Why did Trudeau say that the rule of law mattered when it came to Huawei, but ignored the rule of law when it came to SNC-Lavalin?
Votes, votes, and votes. That's why. You know, he wants to please his friends at SNC-Lavalin, and at the same time, you know, he thinks that he will be able to have more votes because SNC-Lavalin, it's an important corporation in Quebec, part of the Quebec Inc. And but my guess is Quebecers, I'm sure that they don't like that. I think they prefer every corporation being at the same level and nobody above the law. But the real reason, it is buying votes, and buying votes.
Maxime, someone wants to know how you responded to corporate lobbyists when you were a cabinet minister.
First of all, you're right, I was industry minister, and the lobbyists came to my department lobbying people working with me. I tried to end corporate welfare when I was part of the government, but it was not in our platform. That we didn't have, as the Conservative government in 2006, 2007, we didn't have the mandate to do that by the population. And so I was not successful to do it. But I did a big deregulation in telecom, more free market, so that was very important. And what I'm telling you, I'm saying that before the election, that position on ending corporate welfare and no privilege to corporation. And if you do that, corporation won't have any incentive to have a lobbyist working for them to lobby politicians in Ottawa, because you'll have less contract with the federal government. You won't be able to have any subsidies, because we will cut that and save $5 billion, and we will lower taxes to every single entrepreneur in this country. So they won't have any incentive to have more lobbyists. And so that's why that position is very important.
Do you think that Andrew Scheer would have done the same thing as Justin Trudeau?
I think so. I call them the lib cons. Andrew Scheer said publicly that it is the Conservative Party of Canada now. It's a centrist, pragmatic political party, ready to please everybody, and is ready to do everything that needs to be done to buy votes. And he wanted to have more votes in Quebec. So that's why he's not answering the question about him giving a special deal with SNC-Lavalin. If you ask that question to Andrew Scheer, he won't answer that question, because he's too afraid of the reaction that he will have in Quebec. I'm not afraid of it. I said publicly, no special deal with SNC-Lavalin. The same thing also for the pipeline. I said for the pipeline, if we don't have an agreement with Quebec or another province, and we try, and we had some consultation, and at the end, if we're not able to have a pipeline in this country, we must use the Constitution, the Section 9210, and impose a pipeline. It's under our jurisdiction at the federal level. Andrew Scheer had that question in Quebec in French. He did not answer the question because he's pandering to Quebec, and he wants to have more votes in Quebec. He's not saying that he will use the Constitution to be sure that we'll have pipeline to be built in this country. He's not saying that because he wants to have votes in Quebec. So Andrew Scheer and the Liberals, it's all the same. Lib Cons Party.
If we do not have corporate welfare, and other countries do, and sell their products into Canadian markets, does that benefit or harm Canadian consumers?
That benefits consumers. If other countries are so crazy to give subsidies to our consumers, that's perfect. That's perfect. We want free trade, and people must be able to buy goods where they come from. If they want to buy something from the US or from another country, they must be able to do that. And if that corporation that is selling that to Canadians is receiving subsidies from their government, that would be an advantage for the Canadian consumers. So I think, at the end, the best policy is to end corporate welfare, and having only a flat tax. That's the best for us in Canada, but also in other countries, they must do the same. But I won't compete to try to give more subsidies to our Canadian business to be able to compete at the international scene. What I want them to pay lower taxes like all the other corporations in this country, and like that they will be also able to compete at the international scene.
What would you do as Prime Minister if your Justice Minister made a decision against your advice that causes severe job losses in Quebec?
Yeah, first of all, I think we must separate the two positions, the Justice Minister and the Attorney General. In UK, in New Zealand, in Australia, they did it. So I think it's a reform that we must do in Canada, having two positions, one the Attorney General and one the Justice Minister. So that being said, if the Attorney General take a decision that is against, jobs in Quebec or another region, I won't interfere. The rule of law is there. We're not there to try to protect some jobs in a specific corporation. That's not the role of the government to protect some jobs for a specific corporation like SNC-Lavalin. The job of the government is to create the right environment that will benefit every corporation in this country and all Canadians. So that's why we must have a tax system that is fair for everybody. We must end corporate welfare. So that's the role of the government. The role of the government is not to try to protect jobs in a specific corporation. That's what the federal government and the Liberals and maybe the Conservative want to do. I won't play that game. It's not the role. It is not the role of the government. End of that.
On a somewhat unrelated basis, what is your plan to replace ACOA? Will this reduce startup opportunities for Canadians?
Yeah, we won't replace it. We'll abolish it. We'll abolish every organization like that. We have one in Quebec. We have one also in Western Canada, in Ontario. You know, these organizations are there to pick winners and losers. It's not the role of the government to do that. It is not fair. Why a small business in Calgary will be taxed, and after that the government will use that money to give that to another corporation? It is not the role of the government. We'll abolish that, and that will be for the benefits of every corporation across the country. You know, so let's abolish that. No replacement, but we'll be able, because we'll save a lot of money, to abolish the capital gains tax in this country and having a flat tax of 10% of businesses. So that's important. That will help everybody. So no more agencies like that. But the Conservative, they want to have a Quebec minister that will be in charge of the Quebec agency that is giving subsidies to businesses to be able to buy votes and being more efficient at buying votes. We won't play that game. No more. That's it. That will be the end of that.
If elected, how easily would it be to disband the CRTC and the biased media CBC with its overpriced communications technologies?
Yeah, first of all, about the CRTC, I must say that we want to abolish the CRTC in its role only in the telecom industry. So it will be easy to do because we are speaking about it before the election, and we'll do that. We'll have the mandate to do it. And some Industry Canada can take some responsibility about the regulation of the telecom industry. So abolishing the CRTC in the telecom, it's something that can be done very quickly. So about the CBC, the position is we must have a transition period. We must ask the CBC to find money from their viewers, like PBS in the state. You know, it is not the role of the government to give money, $1.3 billion a year to CBC. The journalists and the press must be independent from the government, not dependent from the government. So we have a platform from that. We have an idea about it. We'll lower the budget to the CBC. We'll ask the CBC to raise more money with their viewers, and we won't have a fund managed by the government to give that to the press to help them when the time is very hard for them. No, we won't do that. We want the press to be independent. And so I think that will be easy when you have the mandate to do it. That's why we need to speak about it right now and convince a lot of Canadians that will be the best thing. More competition. Yes, more competition in the broadcasting industry, more competition in every industry, and like that, Canadians will benefit from that.
Who is your favorite political economy philosopher? What thinkers did you learn from about crony capitalism?
Mises, I like the website mises.org. It's my best website. It's a great website about classical liberal philosophy, economy philosophy, Australian philosophy. I like also Hayek. I like Bastiat. I like all these authors and economists. And as a politician, I think Margaret Thatcher. She did a big reform when she was in power. She did some privatization. She fight for what she believed. And you know, she said that the worst in politics is the word consensus. When you try to have a consensus, you are not working in line with your principle. And you must work as a politician on your conviction. And that's what I like from Margaret Thatcher, working on your principle based on your conviction. And that's the PPC. That's what we want to do. That's why we are putting people first. And I really like Margaret Thatcher as a politician.
If elected, will you make sure our soldiers and veterans are well taken care of and at least have new boots?
Yes, we need to reinvest in our own responsibility and jurisdiction and defense. We will reinvest, and that will be part of our platform, absolutely.
Okay, we're already at the end here, and Maxime, did you want to say some final words?
But first of all, I want to thank you very much for your questions, and you know, it's a nice exercise for me. I appreciate it, and we'll do a little bit more of that. I'll try to have a different subject, and after that, answering your question like I did today. If you want to know more about the People's Party of Canada, don't hesitate. You can go on our website, peoplespartyofcanada.ca. You will be able to be in touch with us. And I want to thank our members. I want to thank Canadians that are listening right now. And you know, my main message right now, if you want to have a real change in this country, vote for your values, vote for what you believe in, vote for the PPC. We are the principal alternative. Thank you. Merci.